welcome to this tutorial. Today we're going to be making this candle. The decoration section is going to be entirely up to you guys. I'm just really showing you the techniques here, and how you develop them from that is up to you. I'm going to show you how I've done these love hearts, the scrolls, the coils, a couple of things that I didn't mention in the previous tutorial. If you've seen the other Christmas tutorial on making a Christmas tree, I had to write it in, but I actually kind of described it a bit better in this one. This is this is kind of maybe a bit big for a pendant, so I'm going to put this as a pendant slash decoration. So if you want to use this for on your tree, then that's great. It's obviously quite cute, and a candle isn't just, you know, for Christmas. It's a very universal theme. It's Hanukkah at the moment. I think it's Diwali, Kwanzaa, Yule. Many different faiths use candles, so that's why I really wanted to do something that was a bit more multicultural. So this is the candle, and basically it's just the frame and obviously the flame, and then the detail in between. This can be applied to any shape you so choose. So it's quite a simple tutorial, probably very much a beginner's level this one, where we are just filling in the open space with bits of wire that we're twisting and trying to make it a bit unique, and then adding beads however, wherever you want. You know, you can put them, you know, in here, you could put something at the top, whatever you guys want. I just really wanted to just show you, and then you can build. And before we get started, I am going to ask that you hit that like button and hit that subscribe button as well, because that would be really helpful to me. And we do have a Facebook group, so if anyone's interested in joining, then please do. It'll be linked in the description box below. Throughout the tutorial, we're only going to be using 1mm/18 gauge and 0.3/28 gauge. So if you're interested in seeing how we make this, then keep on watching. Hey everyone, so we're going to be using our 1mm wire, 18 gauge, and our 0.3/28 gauge. Hope that's right, I'll correct it if it isn't. The amount of this we're going to use it won't be much, because we're only really going to be using it for attaching parts together, so I'd say probably about 1 metre, unless you decide to do single wraps around the full frame at the end, then you'd be looking at 2-3 metres of this. And of the 1mm, we're going to take 50 centimetres, and you'll see in a moment, but you can add in. But to begin with, we're going to start with those 50 centimetres. I'm just going to measure it for making sure I've got the right amount. I have to say, since I decided to get a measuring tape, this has become a lot easier. Yep, so actually I've got a bit more than 50, so I'll come down a bit. Okay, I'm going to take 60 centimetres, not 50. I'll probably have too much, but I want to make sure that I'm going to have enough for part of what I'll be doing near the end. So you want to find your halfway point, and you want to take a pair of pliers that have a flat side, so flat nose pliers here. I'm going to go to about the middle point and then create the right angle. Sharpen that up as much as you want. I'm going to go in with this pair here just to tighten that side as well. So we've got this here, and we're going to do the triangle shape that I always like to do. If you've seen any of my previous tutorials, this is kind of a standard. Okay, and we're going to pull them down a little bit, so they're going to cross here, and this top bit is going to be the flame of the candle. We're then going to go about 1 centimetre down, and on each side try and get the gradient, the steepness of the wire about the same, and again 1 centimetre. I think, yeah. Create our right angle, and we've got our candle beginning bit. How long you do at this point is up to you. If you're going to do this as a pendant, you know, do it smaller. For the sake of the camera, I do things larger than would be necessary, but we're going to do this as though it was a decoration. So I'm going to go for 4.5 centimetres and bring it over. Same on the other side. which will be about here. So we've created our frame. I did mention in the previous, oh by the way, I've gone slightly over on this side just so that they sit like this rather than being directly in the exact same position. So that's just something to be aware of when you do this. Now, I mentioned in the previous tutorial of the Christmas tree, when we did this part at the bottom, if you saw that tutorial, we decided to do the circles here and then just wrap along. And I did mention if in another tutorial I'd show you the other way that you could do it. This is this tutorial now. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold this in place and we're just going to bend this part here, and we're going to secure it part of the way along, and then this one on the other side we're going to bring it around that part and bring it over, and we'll use the wires then to fill in the middle section. I'm going to reference again the Christmas tree tutorial. We will create some of these shapes such as the scrolls and the love hearts and the twisted scrolls. I don't actually know what they're called, I'm just calling them that because that's what I like. And we're going to fill in the section, and then you can add beads in or whatever you so choose, you know, add in what you want. But that's the point there that we are going to be creating. So here then we would wrap along, and it's up to you if you just do it slightly in the middle. If you go away the full length, it's up to you entirely. Also, I'm just going to move this out of the way. What I want to do is curl this around, and I'm actually going to make a slight spiral, pull it in tighter, and then up, and then continue on, so that you could put a bead here in this particular corner then. Entirely up to you guys what you do. So from this point onwards we're basically going to be using this to create decoration. So before we continue, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap here and probably to here, because I don't want to wrap in this bit where we're widening, but I want to make sure that we're secured. We're going to be connecting two base wires, so we're going to take a length. I'm going to take about 20 centimeters, and I'm going to be wrapping the way that I'm not comfortable with, so I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to bring this wire through for now so that it's open. So I'm going to do the single loops on here, so I'm going to anchor it to that one as well. It's up to you which, oh I mentioned the weaving wires, connecting two base wires, do whichever weave you so choose, guys. Oh, I just realised I'm still wearing nail varnish. I tried a new nail varnish, but it's just like a glitter, so if you can see that. It's Christmas, I was trying them out. I was supposed to take it off before I started filming, but I forgot. Mind you, you can't really see it because it's just like a, I think it's meant to be a topper rather than an actual base. Okay, so let's just anchor them there, and then I think I'm just going to do a 3 to 1 weave this time. So I'm going to pull this to here, hold this tail, okay, and then I'm going to have that sit behind, and I'm just going to go like that, because like I say, I'm only going to do one to connect this time. So I'm going to do the 3 on this wire. If I actually straighten this out a bit, it'll make it a bit easier. We can obviously bring that back in a moment. 2, 3, straight over. Just going to pull that over again, and rather than going around, you can just slip it back onto that one. So that's 1, 2, 3, bring them together, over, and just have to go around that one. I'm just going to leave this tail here for now, but I'm going to make sure to snip it off on this side. sits down. Okay, so going back to the front, this is what we have so far. I'm just going to bend this in a bit more so that becomes part of the corner. Straighten that up. So now we have our frame, and basically all it is from this point onwards is that we fill in the section, and how you choose to fill that in is entirely up to you guys. So I'm going to take this moment to create a couple of shapes. I mentioned them again on the tree tutorial, so if you've already done that one, already watched that one, you don't need to watch this now. Apologies, my hair's getting everywhere. So you take a length. I'm not going to say an exact length because this is just the technique, and the amount that you need and how big you make it, how tight, how loose is all personal preference. So you take a pair of pliers and you start to make a coil. Basically I'm just going to trim that off. You can keep that on if you did choose to, don't think you have to cut it, that's just something that I do, and it's up to you if you close it or keep it open. And then you just bend the wire around, start to create a scroll, and then on the opposite side you do the same thing. Okay, and you create what's called an S scroll. That time we didn't cut it off, and as you can see it does affect it slightly, but it's not a huge thing, and you can twist these either way. So if the wire was bending awkwardly and you know, it was coiling like that, just do it that way and then twist it at the end. So then you get this S scroll shape. I will also show you some of the other shapes I like to use. So I'm just going to again take a length, doing this bigger just for the camera, and I'm going to go to the middle point, bring this over. Okay, that's not exactly the middle, but I'll correct that in a moment. And then I'm going to coil this in the same way, and as you can see we're creating a love heart shape. Just going to cut that bit off. Okay, and then how tight you make this is up to you, and adjust it as you like. So we've got a love heart there, and you can twist that whichever way you choose. You can close it, you can leave them open. And the other one I do is basically just that again, but we have them face the opposite way. Okay, so leave that slightly sharper. And again, it's up to you if you leave them open or close them. I'm pretty sure this is, I don't know if it's like the sign for Taurus or something, when you actually look at it. It's some symbol of something. Not that that's like a purse. Ugh. Not something I really thought of when I did it. I'm sure I've seen it on something like a TV show or something. Anyway, so again, so those are the scrolls that I regularly use, or types of scrolls. C coil, I forgot to mention it in the last video, but I did write it in for those that didn't see. Basically it's if you just do a coil, so if you take a length and twist, 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 I'm sure you all know how to do a coil. Well, maybe you don't, I shouldn't presume, I don't know what level you're all at, but so say I did this coil and then I wanted to attach it in, say here, you need to have something on the end, so I'd have to, even if I just did a really small like loop here and try to make that as small as possible. Let's do that. And I had this, say, we'll put it here where there's a space, because I wanted the coil. I'd need something to stop it from being able to slip. So if I just cut it here and there was nothing to hold it, even if I wrapped it here and here, because it is a coil, it would be able to just move and slip out. Like on these ones, there's sections that would stop it from moving. Whereas obviously if you just do a coil on its own, it would still be able to slip out, so you need some sort of anchor point on that. And basically what we do from this point is put detail into the candle. So once we have created our frame, you should have already decided which side was the front and which was the back. That's also why I did that loop there. And I am going to put some sort of bead in that point. Now I started here to create the S shape of an S scroll. So I'm going to do that up here as well and do that there. And then, so I would fasten this here. So when I add a bead in a moment, I'm going to do the bead there and then wrap here so that's fixed. What I am going to do is bring this around and we're going to create a small coil, and you just need to do this with your hands. I'm just going to move that out of the way so you guys can see a bit better. And also, if you can see, I'm doing this so the wire's behind at the moment. The only reason for that being that you need to get leverage on the wire. Okay. So if you guys can see there, that's just created a little heart shape, and you can adjust it as such. So then we've just created an S scroll that then turns into a heart and will fit in there, and we've got some extra wire here. So above that I could fit in, say, this S up here, you know, put that there and put that there. Obviously I probably won't be able to fit all of these in unless I adjusted sizes. Don't forget you can layer things on top as well if you so choose, but that's just an option for you guys. We've still got this bit of wire here, so I'm just going to do this part here that I mentioned. I'm just going to take a bead, beads that I have to hand, just some quartz that I've organised and I've basically just left on my desk from the last few tutorials. So the only reason I'm really using them is because they're there. I'm just going to take a quartz. Looking at the size, I think a smaller one would be better, so that's what I'm going to use. I'm just going to wrap the wire around here a couple of times so that it moves along the frame. And because I'm going to be anchoring on this base wire, that's what I'm just going to do, a couple of weaves there. Again, I'm still using that same bit of wire that we took there, which was about 20 centimetres, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, now we're at the centre section. I'm going to thread that on. And then I'm going to go through the S and come back up through there. Okay, you can see that. And then it's up to you if you come back through the bead in a moment so that you can't see the wire, or you can just go behind it, which is what I'm going to do. But if you didn't want the wire to be visible, you could easily just have done that. Oops. Helps if I go through the frame, doesn't it, guys? So here we go. I'm just going to do another couple. And then you could cut that wire there. I'm going to leave the tail in case when I add some more in a moment I can add a bit more. You know, I can just use that bit of wire if it's necessary. I mentioned at the beginning, if you do single wraps along the frame, this would be the point where, you know, you could just wrap all the way up if you so chose. I'm not going to do that at this point, so I've got this here, and like I say, I'm going to put a bead in. I'll put the same bead there so that we match. That's also why I went for a smaller one because of the space, and two so that we could match there. And you know, you can coil this if you so like, you know, don't have to just do it once. Just make sure you hold it so that you're going around it. So there we have, you know, a little bit more detail. And so I've done a love heart to there, and I've got this space here to fill. So what might be an idea is I'm just going to pull this up this way, I'm going to fix this love heart in place, and then because I've got this bit here and this space up here, and I don't really know exactly how I want to fill this in. Might be an idea to use this, and then I could fix that behind at the back like that. Yeah, I think I like that. I might do that there, and then use this wire to create a shape. That's what I'm going to do. So like I say, from this point on, guys, you've got all the techniques that you need. It's just a case of you putting them together. We would just use a jump ring and then put it to ribbon, so this could be then a decoration, or you could use a jump ring to attach it to a cord or a chain, and then it would be a pendant. So that is it. I'm probably not going to talk much for the rest of it because it's just going to be a case of attaching beads and fastening them together. We'll anchor the wire to the shapes and to the frame, and it'll be a case of connecting it all together and getting the finished piece. So, you know, it's up to you guys what you do at this point. Change it as you want, add in what you want, build it as you want, and I probably will layer, and I might mention that as I'm going along. But yeah, it's probably going to get fast forwarded at this point, and then it's just going to be a case of me using our weaving wire to attach everything together.